Okay, as we all know, when we want to solve square root of x is equal to 1, well, in this case, x is just equal to 1 because square root of 1 is equal to 1. Done. And then if we see square root of negative x is equal to 1, some people might feel a little bit uncomfortable because we have the negative inside the square root. But this right here is actually okay because x is just equal to negative 1. So you see, negative 1, square root of that is 1. So we are also done. But now, have you ever thought about what if we have square root of x plus square root of negative x being equal to 1 plus 1, which is 2? How do we solve this equation? The truth is, we are not going to end up with any real solutions anymore. And if you want to solve this right now, go ahead and pause the video, right? Try it first. Done? Okay, so let me explain why we don't have any real solutions. So here's the deal. When we look at square root of x, we have the x inside, so we will have to look at the domain. And we are going to pay attention to both of the square roots. So if we look at the domain, let's define f of x to be this part, which is square root of x plus square root of negative x. We have to consider two things because we have two parts. The first part is that we would need to make sure this x, the inside here, has to be greater than or equal to 0 because inside cannot be any negative numbers. And in the meantime, we will also have to make sure that, let me just put down the second part, which is this, and the inside here is negative x. We will also have to make sure the inside is non-negative. So it's like this. So x is greater than or equal to 0 right here, and the second part is negative x is greater than or equal to 0, but let's divide the negative on both sides. We are saying x has to be less than or equal to 0, 0 divided by negative 1. But you see, if you want to satisfy this and that together, the only number that satisfies this and that is just 0. Only 0 will work. So in fact, the only real numbers that works for this function is just 0. So the graph of this is just a point 0, 0. Yeah. So there's no way for us to get to. That's it for the video. No, just kidding, of course. As I said, we are going to find the complex solutions. So here we go. Right here, let's just, of course, do the usual thing. Perhaps let's move this to the other side so that we can square both sides. We are looking at square root of x being equal to 2 minus square root of negative x. And then we are going to square both sides. We get x right here, and this is equal to, when we square this, we square the first thing, which is going to be 4, and then minus 2 times this and that, which is 4, and then square root of negative x. And lastly, we will have to add this square, but square root of negative x squared. Square and square cancel, so we will end up with negative x here. Right, so that's what we have. Now, let's bring the x to the other side, and in the meantime, let's bring the 4 to the other side. So we will get 2x, right, because x and then combine with that, and then minus 4, and that will be equal to negative 4, and then square root of negative x. Okay, so right now we can just go ahead and solve this, and to do so we can square both sides, but notice that everybody has a factor of 2. So it would be easier if we divide everybody by 2, so that we can reduce it a little bit. X minus 2 equals, reduce that, we get negative 2, and then square root of negative x. We have a lot of negative here, but it's okay. We can still square both sides. So go ahead and do that, go ahead and do that. Open this, we get x squared minus 2 times this and that, so we have minus 4x, and then plus this square, which is 4. On the right hand side, we get negative 2 squared is 4, and then this thing squared is negative x. So we have it like this. Alright? And now we are going to move this to the other side, and to do so, we are going to add 4x. Right? We are going to add 4x. But you will see this and that cancel, and this and that also cancel. I will cancel them in black. And then we see x squared plus 4 equals 0. This is pretty cool, but now of course this sure e to the I pi plus 1 is equal to 0. By the way, move the 4 to the other side, we get x squared equals -4, and then we can take the square root on both sides, and don't forget the plus or minus. This and that cancel. Ladies and gentlemen, x is equal to plus or minus. When we have square root of a negative number, well, that will give us the I, and then square root of 4 is simply just that 2. So the answer for this equation is in fact plus or minus 2 square root of I. Really cool, huh? 1 plus 1 is equal to 2. But square root of 2i plus negative square root of 2i will give us 2. Let me just show you guys how it looks like. So again, this right here, we are saying is square root of 2i plus square root of negative 2i, and that will give us 2. So I'm using the first solution, and of course if you have a negative solution, you just put a negative here and then you have the positive here. So in fact, you'll get the same look. This is it. I think it's really cool.